So I just finished up a walk with my friend Charlie. It's cold out. It's probably about 37 degrees. There's still frost on the ground where the sun never hit. It's a good walk up here at the head of the Dungeness River up River Road. I've really enjoyed him showing me this. It's a great place. Come look at the river. There's a lot of water going down right now, which is kind of cool. Salmon didn't seem to run this year, so maybe it was just an off year. And I wanted to talk about my friend Charlie. I living at my mom's. She gave me Larry's Blazer, and I was driving around finally with that. And I was at the park. I'd ride my bike to work every day, and so I'd see Charlie around, but I never really talked to him. I just say hi in passing. And you look at him, and he put on a facade just like as much as Madelyn did. I mean, he had a I don't know. He looked. To me, Charlie looked like a burnout hippie out of the 60s was kind of the first impression I got of him. And, that wasn't any way, shape, or form how I perceived him, but that's just how he looked. And, he put it forward, and I'm old enough to know that, people, whatever it is. And it's been fun talking to Charlie, because it's been like peeling back like an onion, and the things he's done, man. He served on a couple of aircraft carriers. I'm going, man, that would be the coolest thing, be out there doing what he was doing, keeping planes in the air. He was administration, logistics, whatever he did. He was paperwork guy, and he was good at it, and the things that he did afterwards, and the shops that he ran. And he's telling the owner, hey man, that desk right there, I'm going to be sitting there in 6 months. And 4 months later, he's sitting there running the place, and they're more productive than ever. And just the stories he's told me, and his own businesses. And so I did get the Blazer. Larry died January 13th, Friday the 13th of 2014. He missed the Seahawks winning the Super Bowl. So I inherited Larry's Blazer. It was like their house. He hadn't done anything to it for 5 years. All he'd done was, as he got in and out of it, going to the VFW to drink every day, was put his weight on the door, and it was all messed up. That's the only thing really wrong with it. I loved driving that Blazer. That was the most fun car I've ever owned, to drive. It was a tank, man, 4-wheel drive, high, low, and then just regular. Nothing would stop that. And so I started, I didn't want to go home to my mom. I'm not ready to go home, whatever. If I had time, I'd go sit down at the Railroad Bridge Park here in Sequim. And Charlie, he said, I don't care if you take a nap in your Blazer in the back. This place is to be enjoyed, if that's what you want to do, man, relax. And, I always thought that was cool of him. And then I was a senior caregiver for Home Instead Senior Care, and in-home care. I was taking care of that Tom Dugan, man, the canoer. The wife killed him. And I got off work that morning. I wish I could remember what the date was, but I got off work, and it was when I was driving, 5 minutes away from their house, and I think I turned on Old Olympic, and I went, oh my God. I watched her drop 3 vials in his mouth, and he swallowed all of them, and it killed him. 3 vials of morphine, and she killed him right then and there. And in my eyes, what she did was murder, what she did. But, I think I said before that Tom Dugan was ready to die. And I'm getting off work, and I'm, actually my house where I live with my mom is on my way home from work, and I just say, the hell with it, I'm going to the Railroad Bridge Park. And I think I got off. I think he died, and they showed up like at 6:15 to take his body. I wasn't going to leave her alone, and so I get out of there at 6:30. It's 6:45. I'm pulling into the park, and there's Charlie. He's going out, checking the trashes, emptying the ones that need emptying, and going along the bridge. And the other side, there's a parking lot about a quarter of a mile down the other side, third of a mile. And I'm walking with it, and I'm telling him my story, man, of what this lady just did to her husband. And I'd realized it as I was driving away, and I'm like, it floored me. It absolutely floored me, what she did. He was not in pain. He was not suffering. I went in there that night that he died, and I tried to, like just get him to respond to me, to say something, let him know I'm there anyway. He knew I cared about him. All the other caregivers said he talked about dying, but he wouldn't talk about dying in front of me. You go, I wonder what kind of caregiver that makes me. He wanted me around. I like that. These older guys. Tom Dugan was the what do they call it? The switch man, the one that would take care of the railroad switches for the Illinois Central Railroad. And at one time, he was the highest, seniority switchman, and he used to, talk about, God, they were in Missouri is where he lived. That's where he worked on that. And in the summer times, God, that would be horrible. In the winter times, that would be horrible. I don't care, probably spring and fall, it might be comfortable there, but, storm, whatever, he had to go out and work and get these switches going for the Illinois Central Railroad. And he was so proud of the Arlo Guthrie, whichever Guthrie it was, that city of New Orleans, that Illinois Central. And it was funny because you looked in and he had plaques and stuff, and it would show the railroad, the way it went north and south from Chicago all the way down to Louisiana, and it wasn't east and west like everybody else would be doing. They went north and south, and I mentioned that to him, and he looked at me really slyly, and he goes, "We moved a lot of cotton." And I'm going, "I'll bet you did." Yeah, of course you did, man. Up to Chicago, that would have been, made a lot of money. And he said at times, man, these new guys or whatever, these guys younger than him, they couldn't figure out the switches, man, and he'd go out there and get it and do it. And, he was like the troubleshooter, call guy, and, that was, I think I have some messed up family dynamics. That family, man, when Patsy used to come over, like she'd get off work Friday night, 5 o'clock, jump the ferry from Seattle, wherever she lived, Bellingham, or she lived over there, and she would take over us till Sunday night, when she went back to her life over there. And what an existence, week after week after week, So, I show up, like, I think I had, like, the Sunday night shift would be my shift, and she's getting off, and Dorotha is just pissed off at Tom because, Patsy's taking care of him, and, it's his daughter, and he starts teasing her about something, and Dorotha's just livid about this, and you ain't gonna allow this in her house, and tease her like that, whatever. And I'm keeping my mouth shut, and that was, it was my job, man, keep my mouth shut. And God, when she waved that $250 check for his canoe under his nose, and that was like, that took the last of his wind out of his sails. That was kind of sad to see. So, the shift that his last, when he died that morning, and she put 3 vials of morphine, I don't know, it's like whatever it is, 0.5 milligrams, whatever it is, milliliters, however they do that, tiny amount, but 3 of them. And, he stopped breathing about 4 hours later. I was standing over him. I said, "Goodbye, Tom." I left, and I went to the park and hooked up with Charlie, man, and told him my story. And, we've been fast friends ever since. It's an interesting relationship because it's like we don't spend time together for however long, and we get back together, and it's like we haven't missed a beat, and it's great. It's we're both out. I love Charlie because he's shown me some places here on the Olympic Peninsula. I like to get out and about, and it's kind of a drag to do it by yourself. So, I've been able to walk with him and Gracie, his dog, and he says that she treats me like nobody else, that she won't go around other men, but I go up to her when I see her, and I'll just sit down on my, cross my legs and let her come to me, and I'll get some pictures of Gracie and show off this dog. It's great to, she cowers at me when she sees me, and it looks like she's scared, out of her mind, but Charlie says it just is that she, that's her way of showing that she's happy to see me, I guess submissive or whatever it is. And Charlie, he listened to me that day. And we started running into each other. I think I ran into him down at Voice of America. And I'd always, he worked at the park, at the river, the bridge. So that was great. He'd be there if, I didn't go up to his house. He had a little trailer, I think, that they provided for him. He worked for the tribe there. He was their token white man veteran, that they could hire. So he took care of that place for 2.5 years. The park was spotless. It was great. It was, Charlie walked around and he picked up everything. He still does. And we were friends, and he was one of the angels, man. When I came down from my Christ Odyssey in August 2018, Charlie was one of the people that helped bring me back. And we were fast friends, and I went to Madelyn like a missile. And Charlie, he saw how I took care of her. He saw what, he met Madelyn. They were good friends. He was just a little bit younger than her. He split the difference between our ages. And we'd get together. He went, his mom died, and he went on a trip down south. And I really never expected to see Charlie again. I think he somehow got squeezed out of the working for the tribe there. He's never really totally explained it, but it did not sound like, they kept up their end or something, and it justified that he was upset. So he, when he and I first became friends, he said, John, I'm kind of in a weird place. I mean, I may not be able to respond, or I may not call you back, but it's nothing personal. And so I'm going, okay, cool. That is cool. You got set boundaries. I mean, what can you do with that? You can't argue with them. So he went away, and he did a road trip, and I was sure he was going to find some sweet young lady to save him, and he was going to be living down there somewhere. I mean, he came up here from California, raised his son down there. And so anyway, he did come back, and he bought a house right there in the middle of Sequim. It was one of those houses that was the worst house on the block. Brought everybody's value of their house down around him, and he turned it into the nicest house on the block that he lives on. It's like I was impressed with Charlie and how he did with how his house came out. I saw it inside when walls were torn out and stuff, and I'm going, I can't picture it back together in his bedroom off where the old garage was and stuff, and raised 4 feet off the ground anyway. He did that. We get together. I would show up at his house every once in a while, just unannounced, and it was cool. We'd go sit out in his garage and smoke cigarettes and drink coffee. And Charlie is just a coffee drinker as I am. I'm trying to make coffee right now, and for some reason my stove ain't working. I want to hear whistling. And then Madelyn and I, we did finally get the squatters out. We got in her house. I wish I'd have done it differently. I wish I would have brought a cleaning crew in there and just totally feng shuied that place and gotten the taint of the squatters out, and another thing about the Sages is that they help keep the squatters in. I feel that they helped, and where we had to stay in a hotel and pay, $500 to $1,000 a month, $50 a night at Sequim Bay Lodge, times 30, that's 600, another $5, maybe $55 a night for the suite we had. It was, so $700 a month that we shouldn't have had to pay. The attorney fees that we had to pay, we shouldn't have had to pay that. But Charlie had a 4-wheel drive blue Silverado, and he put up with Dell putting dips in the road and stuff, and would come up, and come visit me. He came up, tried to pay him to come help me take care of Madelyn, because he did, man. He'd come up there, and he'd, towards the end there, I mean, I couldn't leave her. I wasn't going to leave her with the Sages. I didn't trust them for nothing, and he wouldn't let me, though. He would not let me pay him. That was like, I kind of like, wow, Charlie. That's steam from my tea kettle. That truly, I was like, wow. He came up there, he talked to them. They knew about him. They saw his truck. Obviously they threatened it. Rusty did. 700 yards, AR, zeroed in. You don't need to tell me twice. And the Sages knew somebody was out there that cared about me. I have been scared shitless for Charlie since Rusty did that, and I showed Charlie, and it was this is unacceptable to me. Way down deep inside, I'm threatened. My life has been threatened since the day I met Madelyn. They've heard about me, so nothing's new for me. But for Charlie, for him to be threatened is untenable to me. And he was there. He came up and he visited, and sometimes he'd call, sometimes he wouldn't. It was great, man. I'd look out, there'd be Gracie, man, right in the center console panel that he had, especially laid out for her, and it was great driving with them, because she's sitting there leaning into curves and stuff, and when you stop, she's, doing hers, and, she's looking ahead, and she's seeing curves coming up and anticipating, and it was great, So he'd show up, and they knew. And I was truly worried about Charlie, and I still, when I see him, he drove up today. I heard his little Honda Civic, and it was, he's okay. Sages haven't done anything to him. And when he said that one of his neighbors was the undersheriff, and somebody else there, he was a retired undersheriff, and somebody else there, and they, some type of way with the government, however, police or whatever, they have an interest in what happens to Charlie. They know about this situation that I have with them, and what I think. They probably think I'm crazy, but that's okay, because they probably went to work and looked at my file. I should go get my files. I like to see what they both have on me. Clallam County Sheriff and Sequim Police. Charlie, he was my guardian angel, man. If they offed me, Charlie was going to ask questions. It wasn't going to be as cut and dried like Mersad, who had absolutely nobody here. One of the ladies that used to be kind of would take care of Madelyn, but would go grocery shopping for them, for Mersad and Madelyn. She said that they spent $500 a week in alcohol, which, okay, that's a lot of alcohol. Madelyn was drinking a lot, I'm sure. I'm sure she drank her portion of that, and it's it is what it is. She, I don't know if she knew she was killing her liver to the extent that she was, but probably did. You ladies seem to know your body so much better than us men. You're so much more in tune with it. Charlie came up, and he saw, the stuff that they were doing, the threats that they were doing, the way they treated me, it was, he became part of that, my side, where they were, it was them against us. And I don't think Rusty would do anything to Charlie outside of Chicken Coop Road, off of Chicken Coop Road. If he could get away with taking him out, if he found him alone somewhere, that he would do it. But he wouldn't seek him out, I don't think, anywhere off of Chicken Coop Road. If Charlie went up there, he said, yeah, John, I thought about going up there and getting some of your stuff. And I'm like, God, my heart dropped. I'm going, no, please don't. They will kill you. If you show up there on the property, they will kill you. I mean, they've said it. They are not joking. You know, so what you know, the things that I look back and kept me alive through that whole thing was, you know, Charlie was, he was right there in the middle of it. He was in as much danger as I was. I don't believe that he believes he was. But I truly do believe that Charlie was as much danger as I was. Every time he came on the property, we used to go up to the horse camp and they have campfires, you know, circles and shit. And we used to go up there and have campfires. And you know, you come around the corner and that's where the 700 yards was zeroed in from Rusty's house, off his back porch. You know, great shot, man. I'd like to, you know, I wonder how many times I drove up there and my center mass was centered on his, you know, AR-15. I truly wonder how many times I lived up there and I was in danger. You know, when Dell threatened me and he backed right off, man, he walked right off after I said, Madelyn, Dell just called me a fucking asshole. I was fucking with them and, you know, I said, texted, hey, I'd rather be a fucking asshole than a fucking idiot. That POS boy is. What a fucking idiot. He just kept doing stupid shit. I don't know. This guy, no education, whatever. I think him and Judy are brother and sister. I would like to see a, number one, a lie detector test and have them answer some specific questions. And I'd like to see you know, DNA test, see if Judy and Dell are brother and sister. I would not surprise me at all. I mean, I walked right through the middle of Deliverance. So anyway, you know, Charlie kept me alive. You know, because he showed up every time and they knew about him. I think it stopped, you know, it made them hesitate enough not to pull the trigger that day or, you know, at that time, or their plan that, you know, whatever they were planning. Because I think Anna was coming over and there was the four of them in the living room. Rusty being sent over because I was still letting him in the door. You know, he was coming in as a spy. And, you know, he ran across Rusty. I think Charlie went up to the horse camp once or twice and Rusty stopped to him. And, you know, Charlie's going, look, I'll pick up trash as I go. You know, my dog won't leave dog poop. You know, I'll pick that up. And so Rusty let him just because I guess he had not, you know, whatever. They'd have gotten away with this if they'd have given me 50% effort in helping Madelyn that they did in making my life miserable. If they'd have put half the effort into helping me with Madelyn, I'd have just gone along with everything. I'd have said everything they did. It was great, man. What they earned it. I mean, they'd worked for it. But to swindle her the way they do and the way everybody was. This is coming up on 24 minutes, and I am going to cut this off and start again, and I am going to talk about my health license. I sacrificed it for Madelyn. I pulled the major, you know, no is I got involved with the client within 2 years after taking care of him. You sign a document. Sinclair Place, you sign this packet this thick, you know, things, do's and don'ts and all that shit. And I knew. As a caregiver, I think men should take care of men and women should take care of women. I think, you know, I don't know how many times these guys going, yeah, these chicks come up with these cold towels, you know, on your privates. And it's like, God, man, don't they understand? So, you know, I think women know how to, you know, clean women better too. So take care of them. And I think that's what should happen. And the one thing I'm not going to ever talk about mine and Madelyn intimacy. But the one thing that it allowed me to do is it allowed me to take care of her in a manner that she needed to be taken care of. That's what that did, you know. That left that door open that or not, you know. I could take care of her. It just, it, I didn't give a shit. My kids, you keep them clean. If you got a poopy diaper, man, it's like that is nothing worse than sitting in poop. So get that off you. Get you clean. It doesn't matter age. So anyway.